Hi, my name is Geraint Waters and I am the co-founder and CEO of Provar. So in this talk, we will see how Provar's Salesforce aligned architecture radically differentiates us from other test automation platforms and how to scale your automation portfolio with Unbreakable tests. So Salesforce reinvented business applications, starting a little over 20 years ago. There are many reasons for Salesforce's success. Still, two of the most important are two of their guiding principles: to empower business users and ensure that every customer runs the latest version. These two changes turned business applications on their head. Before Salesforce, business users lived in a world of IT-led centralized planning. If they needed an application, they had to stand in line. IT typically sent sales, marketing, and services organizations to the back of the line behind finance and manufacturing and distribution and other functions. But Salesforce made it possible for business users to skip the line, take back control, and get the applications they needed in their own time. Everybody today understands that Salesforce customers are required to run the latest version of the platform. Occasionally, this causes some inconvenience, but it is crucial to remember how damaging the alternative can be. Before Salesforce, business applications consisted of millions of lines of code. Initial deployments could take years, but upgrades to more recent versions created equally daunting projects as developers played spot the difference in the source code and tried to figure out which customizations they could or should carry forward. As a result, many organizations declined to upgrade, preferring to remain, often for years, on outdated systems with limited functionality and obsolete technology. Because Salesforce ensures that customers are on the current version, they benefit from the latest functionality and access rapidly evolving technologies like mobile and AI. Being up to date is excellent for customers and for Salesforce. Evolution to low-code platforms. So Salesforce remained true to these principles as the initial business applications evolved into the world's most popular low-code platform. Customers built custom applications and customizations in a vast ecosystem selected Salesforce as a development platform. The explosion in development on Salesforce led to a corresponding need for testing solutions. Salesforce tests its platform and application features, but cannot possibly test custom applications. As we will see, these two principles have a significant impact on successful automated testing approaches. Salesforce testing horror stories. There are lots of horror stories about challenges with Salesforce testing. People complain about navigating through frames, handling dynamic content, tables, shadow DOM, user profiles, permissions, metadata, identifiers. And as a Salesforce partner, we are here to debunk many of the myths and rumors around Salesforce testing. We would like to clearly state that while many problems arise in the real world, Salesforce is not the problem. Let's explore what's going on. People often describe a situation when they're developing a new customization or feature in the custom application. They plan things out, develop the feature, create the test, they run the test, everything is going great. And then they're ready to move on to release deployment and on to the following customization. But then lightning strikes. Salesforce releases an update and the test break. Did the customization break? Hard to say since the test broke, but probably not. So the team goes off mission and look at the rework mode. They fix this test and then they retest the other test they have in place. Ironically, at this stage, the greater the test coverage, the greater the problem. Eventually, they fix all the broken tests and they're ready to get back on track. But another Salesforce update comes along and they're back into the rework spiral. What makes the situation intolerable is that the tests are more fragile than the customizations. The team spend more time testing tests than testing their work. Brittle tests cost money, time, and most importantly, undermine one of the core benefits of Salesforce: agility. The agility to get things done and move forward quickly. Some people call this the rework spiral. I call it rework insanity. So how does this happen? The simple explanation is that today many people use automating testing platforms with Salesforce that the creators designed to support traditional application development workflow. In traditional software testing, a workflow develops code and other user interface elements, and a test is hard-coded to test this work. The test works well and will continue to work until the team decides to make a significant change, at which point they create new code and matching tests. Traditional automated testing works perfectly well in a conventional non-Salesforce context. The problem starts when you apply traditional automated testing to the anything but traditional Salesforce context. Salesforce is a low-code, declarative environment. Developers do not code customizations or even custom applications. The user interface is rendered automatically by Salesforce, which is a crucial benefit of Salesforce and explains how customization created several years ago will appear today with an up-to-date user interface, technology, and design. People use traditional testing platforms to develop hard-coded tests on Salesforce that work well at the time of creation. When Salesforce releases an update, they often make changes to the user interface. The changes may be minor, or they could be major technological leaps. Hard-coded tests often break. Salesforce could not be clearer on this point. Testing based on the UI structure is not supported, and yet this is precisely how every traditional testing platform on Salesforce works. They create hard-coded user interface tests, store them, retrieve them later after the Salesforce update, and find that they break. Unbreakable. At Provar, we created a testing platform from the ground up for Salesforce. The architecture and design reflect the architecture and design of Salesforce itself. The Provar automated testing solution for Salesforce is as dynamic as Salesforce itself. With Provar, you unleash the power of Salesforce platform to the world of automated tests. Because Provar works in the same way as Salesforce, Provar tests are unbreakable. What do we mean by unbreakable? New Salesforce releases are the most common trigger for breaking automated tests because they include minor or significant changes to user interface rendering. Salesforce periodically introduces new user interface frameworks, Visualforce, Aura, Lightning Web Components, and rendering changes with modified HTML, JavaScript, and CSS. Additionally, new versions may include different layout changes and new API versions. As we discussed at the start of the session, every Salesforce customer is on the same version. That's what enables Salesforce customers to keep pace with rapidly evolving technology. So it should come as no surprise that Salesforce advances user interface technologies over time. But none of these changes break Provar tests. This is what we mean by unbreakable. Only Provar has unbreakable tests. At Provar, we have customers who've created tests under Visualforce 5 years ago, which have still been through 15 Salesforce releases and are still running today. Unbreakable tests make a real difference to every Salesforce team. By eliminating rework, it saves you time, money, and reduces frustration. Most importantly, when tests just work, teams can focus on their mission, supporting the business and innovating. But how is it possible? Provar tests are unbreakable because Provar is different. It is architected from the ground up to work with Salesforce, not against it. Rather than create and store hard-coded tests only to retrieve them into an updated environment to see them fail, Provar tests work similarly to Salesforce. Provar stores a description of the test in a test case repository. Provar remembers the Salesforce environment in which the test was created and understands how Salesforce has changed since then. Whenever the test needs to run, it will not break because Provar's unique polymorphic rendering engine renders it into the new Salesforce environment. This process is analogous to the way Salesforce itself renders the user interface. The architecture is similar to that of Salesforce, but radically different from any other testing platform out there. That's why only Provar tests are unbreakable. But that's not all. The technology behind Provar's unbreakable test unleashes the power of Salesforce into the world of automated testing. Polymorphic. The polymorphic rendering engine lets Provar create polymorphic tests, meaning that a single test can run without modification in many contexts. A single Provar test can replace dozens or hundreds of traditional tests. Let's look at a simple example, a customization that creates an opportunity in Salesforce. In our example, sales representatives, marketing managers, sales operations staff are all able to create opportunities. Our example company operates in 4 languages. They have a robust release process for development, validation, production environments, and they also use Windows and Macs and popular browsers. Every combination of profile, language, environment, operating system gives us an opportunity to test. With traditional testing platform, testers create and maintain 192 individual tests. They may choose to ignore some of the combinations to save time, for example, but not testing Japanese. But what if you roll out an update and the Japanese team can't create opportunities? With Provar, you can create a single polymorphic test and execute this in 192 different contexts. You only have one test to maintain and develop. With Provar, you dramatically reduce the effort to create and maintain tests, and at the same time, you get better test coverage. Intuitive. As we noted at the start of the presentation, one of the guiding principles behind Salesforce has always been empowering business users. At Provar, we share the same perspective. That's why we made creating, debugging, and running tests completely intuitive. The skills required to use Provar are the same as the skills needed to use Salesforce. With Provar, you test Salesforce in the same way as you use it. Creating a test in Provar is a point-and-click operation. There is no coding, no scripting. Provar understands Salesforce perfectly, so many of the parameters manually entered as alternate products are automatic in Provar. As you build your test, Provar understands your intent and predicts the type of test you would like to run. Traditional products adopt an old-fashioned approach to building a test. The user builds out the test, quits the test builder, runs the test, looks at the log, then goes back to the test builder to make the changes. This is alien to Salesforce users. Provar, you use a play bar to pause, rewind, play your test interactively. Developing a test is a playful, intuitive experience. End-to-end. At Provar, we are Salesforce testing specialists. We understand that no Salesforce instance is an island. Every Salesforce platform connects to other enterprise systems such as SAP, NetSuite, and many others, as well as custom integration points. Provar is designed to test Salesforce end-to-end, including all key areas of Salesforce and every external touchpoint. And we are clear and transparent about our expertise. If your primary requirement is to test SAP, maybe Provar is not the exact fit you need, but if your need is a Salesforce-centric testing project with touch points reaching into other enterprise systems, that is our speciality. We designed Provar from the ground up to test Salesforce. As we designed the product, we knew from the offset that no Salesforce implementation is an island. There are always numerous integration points to other systems, be they business applications, communication tools. Provar has all the capability customers need to run complete end-to-end tests, ensuring, for example, that a NetSuite transaction is triggered by a user action in Salesforce. So in conclusion, all of us at Provar are proud of the technology we developed. It wasn't easy, but it is rewarding to say that today we are by far the most advanced and productive automated testing platform for Salesforce. In order to create maintainable test automation which genuinely provides business value, we strongly believe you need an automated testing solution which has been created from the ground up for Salesforce. And we recognize that without Salesforce's underlying architecture, we would never have been able to create unbreakable, polymorphic, and intuitive tests.